The worst gear in the game will have to be the Decoy deploy in the C tier. The Decoy deploy spawns a dummy of yourself that explodes once it's killed. While it does have its uses, it pales in comparison to the other items, as against a large group of enemies, it quickly dies and barely provides any time to get away from enemies, and the explosion isn't really that helpful. The only two reasons it's not D tier is because it's actually pretty effective against the first 3 bosses in the game, as well as the 2 event ones, and it can help against a small group of enemies. That being said, I don't think I'm gonna pick this gear as often as others, as I think there are much better options. Next up, we have Battle Armor in the B tier. There isn't really a lot to say about it. It gives your character 50 extra health, which is helpful, but there are better options for health. Next up is the Reflector. The Reflector is actually a pretty decent and unique gear where you can cause an explosion that damages enemies around you, and you can parry projectiles. That being said, I wouldn't rank it higher because I didn't find much of a reason to use it over other gears, especially since the timing can be pretty difficult to get right with projectiles since I often miss it. Coming up next is the Witch's Brew. The Witch's Brew got reworked in V2.1. Instead of drinking it once and you get increased fire rate for a couple of seconds, the cooldown is gone and you have to keep drinking the Witch's Brew to increase your fire rate, but you can't drink it when it's 40% or higher. I honestly think this is more of a nerf because it made the Witch's Brew harder to use in battle when you have to constantly spam R. If you know how to use it and can work well with it, I can understand ranking it higher, but for me it goes in B tier. Next up is the Grappling Hook. The Grappling Hook allows you to travel to certain points around the map, which can be to either get to areas more quickly or escape a tight situation. The timing of this gear can be a little tricky at first because sometimes I would either miss my target or hold on to it for too long, delaying how long I take to use the Grappling Hook, which can be extremely damaging in some situations. However, I can understand why a lot of people might use this gear since it does its job more quickly than the other platforming gears with proper timing. Overall, this is easily the worst out of the platforming gears, but it's still a pretty decent one. Ending off the B tier is the Bloxy-Cola. The Bloxy-Cola doubles your lifesteal, allowing you to regenerate more health from parrying. This can be useful to regain a lot of health, but I don't find it really good without a weapon to parry objects, which not every loadout has. And the increased lifesteal using primary normal weapons isn't really that helpful compared to other healing items, but it can definitely save you from dying in a lot of situations if used correctly. Overall, I think this weapon is pretty good, but the fact that it's only really good in parry loadouts keeps it from being ranked higher. Running up the A tier is the Cheeseburger. Like the Battle Armor, there isn't a lot to say about it. It gives your character 80 HP. I put this in A tier because I think I'm more likely to pick this item simply due to the fact that I'll pick this item in stage 2 or 3 if I don't get a better healing item, but it's not an item that I'll pick every time. Coming up next is the Epic Sauce. The Epic Sauce significantly increases your stats, so it makes you take bonus damage in the form of fire that can stack. It also has a synergy where it can be combined with jet boots to fly more efficiently with it. This is a very hit or miss item as it can be extremely deadly if used incorrectly, but if you do know how to use it, it can be very effective, and I would understand ranking it higher. Next is the Umbrella. The Umbrella allows you to stay in the air and float for a period of time, which is useful for avoiding attacks if used properly. I find this item easier to use than the Grapple Gun, which is why it's A tier, but this item can sometimes get you killed if used incorrectly. Either way, this is a pretty great gear and is the second best platforming gear. Next is the Teddy Blockspin. The Teddy Blockspin acts as a safety net in case you run out of health, giving you extra health for a limited amount of time and requiring a 60-second cooldown to work again. This is overall a great item, but the cooldown can get annoying, especially if this is the only healing item you have, but I'll still be happy to pick it every once in a while. Ending off the A tier is the Blockade. The Blockade gives your character a speed boost while also providing you with 4 stamina bars permanently until you die. This is an item I would 100% try to go for every run, since it is extremely versatile, easy to use, and having 4 stamina bars is extremely useful. The only thing keeping it from S tier is the fact that it may not be needed if you already know some good platforming moves like Sword or Slingshot Pogo. However, this item is still amazing and I'd highly recommend it. The first gear in S tier is the Red Straddle Boxer. This gear gives you 20% less damage, but it can increase until 60% based on your combo. This is definitely one of the best gears because it can be incredibly overpowered if you have a really good set of gears, allowing you to absolutely decimate enemies. Though if you're not really that good at fighting since you're new to the game, then this gear may not be for you because its best playstyle is constantly fighting. Either way, this is probably the best gear in the game for pro players. Next up, and what's actually the only other weapon in S tier, is the regen coil. The regen coil increases the rate at which you heal by 1.5%, which is significantly higher than the normal rate, allowing you to regenerate back to full health sooner. This could actually be one of the best gears for new players, since if you're not that good at parrying, you can wait a few seconds to regenerate your health every once in a while and then get back to fighting, allowing you to die less often. The only reason this gear isn't in X tier is because once you do get good at parrying, this gear isn't really that useful compared to the ones above it. But this is still an amazing gear, and if I can't pick a gear in X, I would definitely pick this one. The first weapon in X tier is the jet boots. The jet boots are easily the best platforming gear because they are the easiest to use to travel around, allowing you to get into or out of tight situations more easily, and as mentioned before, it also has a synergy with the epic sauce. It can also be effectively used in almost any situation, unlike the grappling hook where a pole is needed to hook on, and an umbrella where you already need to be in the air. I would always pick this gear when it comes up since it's extremely versatile and easy to use. Therefore, it deserves to be the second best gear in the game. But the best gear in the game is definitely the Slate Skin Potion. Drinking this potion gives you 125 extra health, and while it may give you a speed penalty, you can perform multiple synergies by slamming the ground with it, such as bouncing with a ball, slam dunking with a cannonball, and exploding with a bomb, although it does have a 50 damage penalty. Plus, the speed penalty isn't really that big of a handicap. This is not only an amazing healing item, but also an extremely versatile gear to use in all different kinds of loadouts, making it the best gear in the game in my opinion. One last thing before I end the video, the Necromancer staff wasn't on the tier list, but if it was, it'll probably be around B tier since the zombies aren't all that useful, but could be versatile if used correctly. In general, it's sort of a better version of the Decoy deploy. I am aware, however, that there is an accessory that allows you to summon a larger zombie, in which case it could possibly be an A tier. If you know what it is, let me know in the comments. And that's the end of the tier list. Similar to the weapons, I generally think every gear in the game serves a purpose and is useful in its own right. I am definitely expecting a lot of people to disagree with me like the weapons videos, but if you do, please be respectful and feel free to explain why. Anyways, I'll see you guys in another video.